How's it going, everyone? It's GadgetsBoy. Welcome to another car tech video. We are in another EV today, and this is the Citroen eC4 all-electric car, and it's got some underpinnings of the Peugeot E2008, for example, and there's a lot of familiarity with this as well. It looks like the Citroen C4. It looks like a normal car. In fact, there are some hints of this is an electric car around the car itself. For example, there's blue badge that you see around the car lets you know that this is actually an electric car. And then obviously you don't hear the car as well. So if you're around the car, you get to know that this is an electric car in that sense as well. But first, if this is your first time around here, please do subscribe, smash the like button as well. Make sure you share if you like this video at the end, and also ding that bell notification because it helps the algorithm, and you know that's the only way you know every time there's a new video like this up on the channel. So let's start with the design. On the outside of the car, it looks fantastic. I think it actually looks in some way sporty. You got that sloped back, which looks a bit like a coupe. So it makes me think about sport back cars from Audi, for example. And you got the snazzy lights on the back. You got the split windscreen spoiler on the back as well, which it's nice in some sense, but also it means there's no, there's no wiper, window wiper on the back. And if you live in a country where it rains all the time, it means you have to think twice about that one. But it's designed to help the water just sloped down as well, so if that works, I'm yet to know. It's not raining today. It hasn't rained since I've had the car, so I can really put that to test. Also, visibility is another thing. So with that split windscreen, the windscreen at the back, it just means the back window, it just means that visibility is also affected as well, especially when you drive in. It kind of blocks your vision a little bit, especially when it's raining as well. But elsewhere, you got a nice design, you got a nice looking car. The side profile looks good as well. It's got athletic shoulders on the back, which I quite like. Again, it gives it that sporty look. The front area as well looks fantastic. You got the sculptured bonnet, which I quite like. You got those LED lights as well, which Citroen calls the LED vision lights. They look really good. They're very bright as well, and they can shift when they need to, and also they're dynamic in that sense, and they also save energy. So with this being an electric car, that's just a smart move to make in terms of adding headlights onto electric cars in general. So this is sitting on 18-inch alloys, and it makes the car looks quite high up as well, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the car's riding high. So for example, it's easy to get in, easy to get out if you're going to enter the boot, which by the way, you get 380 liters of boot space, plenty of boot space. And if you lift the lid inside the boot space as well, there's space to put your charger cable. And talking about charger cable, this supports fast charge as well, so 100 kilowatts fast charge. So if you find one of those, you'll be able to charge this back to 80% in about half an hour or so, which is a bonus. This would do, it's got 217 miles in terms of range WLTP, but I think I've been clocking around 150 to 290 miles depending on my style of driving. You got different drive modes, so there's a switch here down by the driver's side where you can go from sport to eco to what else you got here to normal. So most of the time I put into sports because it just means you get better throttle response, but it doesn't necessarily affect the steering itself. It's the softest steering I've ever seen. Like, you can literally use one finger to rotate the steering, which makes it, I think, a kind of a city car, so it just makes it easy to maneuver. So if you're parking, for example, it's easy. If you're driving around town, it's also easy. It means you're not stressed, your arms are not aching after a long drive as well. More on the design on the exterior though, the car itself looks, besides looking sporty, looks very high up. I don't know if to call it SUV or is it compact SUV. I'm not sure what it's trying to be, but in general, I like the color. You got different color options available. You got different trim levels as well. I think you got 4 trim levels. So you got Sense, Sense Plus, you got Shine and Shine Plus. But between those 4 trim levels, there's not much of a difference. You still get all the core benefits of having this car, plus tiny bit of extra. So if you're going to buy one of these, I'd say just go for like a Sense Plus or something like that. The base model, you still be fine. I love this, the seats inside. Coming back to the inside, the seats are very comfortable. There's a leather finishing on there as well. I don't know if it's real leather or not, but leather finishing on there, which makes it feel premium. It's very comfortable. They've done something to it, so like when you're driving around out and about town, it feels really comfortable to ride. They're not perforated or anything like that, but I like the design of it. It's a good little nice touch to add to the car itself. When driving around town, this car is actually designed to be as comfortable as possible. It actually just glides slides, it kind of just floats. It gives you that sensation that you're just on hydraulics. So this has got progressive hydraulic suspension. So again, it just means that when you go over speed bumps, it's nice and smooth. But you do get a bit bouncy though when you get on the country roads and you're going around bends and corners. You get a bit bouncy, but it does still grip and it's very nice and safe on the road, which I quite like. Sports again, sports mode doesn't necessarily add to that, but sports mode for throttle response for me, which I'm not going to say no to. Having said that though, being an electric car, you get instant torque when you put your foot down. So again, that sports mode instant throttle response is not a major bonus, but I'll take it. In terms of the size inside the car though, the size of space, it feels quite cramped in the car. So at the moment, the way I'm sat right now, the person sitting behind me will struggle with their knees. So again, knee room is not there for the passenger sitting at the back. Up front as well, I'm still having to sit up quite close to the steering, which is not the most comfortable position for me. And if I'm about 5'11", so if you're 6 foot and above, for example, this is probably not the car for you in terms of your height in the car, which it's a shame, but that's what you get. Up front for the passenger, there's this interesting thing here. So you can literally pull out a tray here, and there's an iPad case that you can slide in your iPad and use it as an iPad holder. So that way you can just dock your iPad so the passenger can just sit there, enjoy the entertainment whilst you drive, which is interesting. I've never seen that in a car before, but is an added bonus. For the passengers at the back, they get USB ports to charge their devices, and up front we have 2 USB ports as well, one for USB-A and one USB-C, so that's up to date. And there's also a wireless charging mat as well, so if your device is compatible with Qi charging or you got Qi charging device, you can place it there, and there's little LED lights on the battery side that shows you that it's actually currently charging, so you rest assured that your phone has activated when it comes to charging, which is great. For the infotainment system, you get this 10-inch display, which is pretty neat. It's nice and large, but in terms of the user interface itself, Citroen hasn't taken advantage of the full 10-inch display, more like an 8-inch display, because both sides of the display, you get your temperature, climate control information. You do get manual dials for climate control, which is a bonus. It just means when you're driving, you're not distracted by touchscreen buttons and unresponsive touchscreen buttons and stuff. So that's a bonus to have there. But yeah, it's a waste of space in terms of the full screen real estate. It would have been nice to actually take advantage of the whole thing and maybe change the view as well. If you want to change to a different view on there, that would have been nice to have. But otherwise, you get Apple CarPlay, Android Auto via cable. I've tried to connect wirelessly. It definitely doesn't have the wireless connectivity. But in terms of infotainment system, all round offers all the basics. You got sat nav, but sat nav is not the best. Sometimes it's a bit slow and laggy. It doesn't it's not very quick at redirecting you. So you end up using Apple CarPlay and using Google Maps in my case. You can connect via Bluetooth for audio. You can listen to DAB radio. You got all those tech there. You got a bunch of safety options as well, like lane keep assist. You got adaptive cruise control, which means again, you can just set it so it knows the speed of the car in front of you. It's got radar and sensors enough to monitor that. So that's a bonus as well for long period of time, long drives. So that way you can just set it to that to adaptive cruise control and just rest your feet a little bit when you're driving for long periods of time. But overall, the infotainment system is pretty cool. I think it's got all the essentials, really good amount of safety equipment in there. The instrument cluster itself, you can change the view and like the information on there, but there's not a lot of things that you can do to it. So it doesn't give you that much customization option, so you'll be able to customize it like you would maybe in an Audi, for example. But I think this car is generally designed to be a very comfortable car to ride around town. You got you know, the range on there as well is decent as well for city driving. 190 miles is not that bad. 150 miles range realistically is okay, but when you start to compare it to what you can get in the likes of the Volkswagen ID3, then you think to yourself, well, maybe I can spend a little bit more or spend less and actually get the ID3 for the range, but that's food for thought. Yes, so you get 50 kilowatt hour battery in here, which again, it's not the biggest, but again, when it comes to city driving, I think that's more than enough. So I wouldn't drive this on for long drives, but if you really want to, just plan your journey accordingly, and if you can find some fast charge, like 100 kilowatt hour charging stations, you can do that. You can also charge your home with your 7 kilowatt hour charging stations, which means you charge it overnight, 7 hours to get this back up to 100%, which is not too bad. So it means you can charge it overnight and you're good to go. In terms of speed, it will do 0 to 62 in under 10 seconds, so around 9.7 seconds. So It's not the fastest out there. Again, this is built for for the comfortability. It's not built for speed, so it's not a sport car, although they still designed it to make it look slightly sporty, so you can be proud to own one of these. And you get a total of 134 horsepower or 100 kilowatts if you're in Europe. So again, you've got a decent amount of power there, but where this power really matters is when you join in a motorway, for example, on the slip road, or you're trying to come out of a roundabout, so you got enough power in there, and you get a decent amount of torque as well. So again, all that just comes together nicely in a neat package that offers you comfort, comfortable ride. You know, the seats are nice, you get a decent level of luxury, although all this plasticky area in the car I'm not a big fan of. They start to scratch easily, and if you're putting kids in the car, rest assured they're going to be scratching that up with their foot when they get in the car. And yeah, you get a decent amount of tech in there as well, so it's not lacking in terms of technology. So again, that's very much welcomed, and pricing is okay as well. I mean, considering the battery version, the petrol version of this, you'd be looking at around £25,000, but if you then compare it to what you get in electric, you pay more for electric, but it's cheaper to run electric cars in general. So you're saving money in the long run, but it's not very convincing for people who are considering getting the the C4 or the EC4 version. The volume control dial here as well is a bit of a reach for the driver, but the good news is you can just use the controls on the steering wheel to control the volume. You can change track as well, so there's plenty of options there to do that in case you don't want to keep reaching over, which I wouldn't advise. You have heads-up display, which is nice to have, but it's that cheap version that you get. It projects onto another screen, but good news is you can turn that off if you don't want to use it. So there's a button down here by my right knees where I can just press a button and that would retract itself, and I don't have to see it, and it's not distracting in my face. Rather than being a functional useful tool, I can just retract it in that sense. But yeah, all in all, really great package to have in a car, and it's just a matter of comparing prices and range and see which one suits your need. And for me, I came to the conclusion that this would make a perfect Uber driver's car because it's comfortable. You can offer your customers a really comfortable ride. You got decent amount of range that you can drive throughout the day and top it up and take a break from driving. So I think it makes a really good package in that sense. And if you're a small family of maybe 4, then this is all right. So yourself, your partner, and 2 kids, they can sit comfortably at the back without having to worry about anything at all. So that's it for the Citroen eC4. Guys, let me know what you think as always in the comments below. If you have any questions, drop them there as well. I'll do my best to answer those questions, and I'll leave all relevant links in the description area, so guys, do check it out. But yes, thanks for watching, and I'm sure I'll see you guys in the next one.